What's up, everybody? Welcome to the LTC Bowling Show. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about building an arsenal. We're going to go through this again, although it's going to be a little bit different this time because last time I went through the Storm bowling balls. Today, we're actually going to go through the rotogrip bowling ball line. Quite a few less bowling balls in that line, but a good variety. So, we're going to go through that and talk about what we can do as far as building an arsenal here in a minute. Stay tuned. Thanks, everybody, for joining me. My name is Raymond. I'm your host over here at the LTC Bowling Show. Trying to do these things as much as I can. I know I said I wasn't going to do them on Fridays, but I have a little extra time, so I figure I might as well throw one together for you. We're going to do a little bit of building an arsenal based on the numbers, and the number system being what we talked about in the previous podcasts. If you haven't watched those or seen them, I'll just give you a quick rundown. Basically, what we do is we take the RG of a bowling ball and the differential, and we subtract the differential from the RG as if they were whole numbers. So if you have a 248 RG and an 048 differential, you subtract the two, you get 200 or 200. And then we have to take into consideration what the cover stock is. So if it's a solid cover stock, we're going to minus 6 from that number. If it's a hybrid cover stock, we're going to subtract 3. If it's a pearl cover stock, we're going to add 6. And I keep having people asking me about urethane. And the reason I don't really include, I do them as if they are solid or pearl because most of them are either just that. It's urethane. It doesn't matter if it's solid or pearl. They're all going to hook pretty early. So I try to stay away from trying to classify them in the line because it really doesn't really matter how they fit in your line because you know exactly what you're going to get out of a urethane ball most times. It's the reactive bowling balls that we're kind of trying to pay attention to and make sure that we know exactly where they fit number-wise on a scale to give us the type of reaction or the type of, so we can actually go buy a bowling ball and have an idea of where it's going to fit in our line. So we put this scale together, and today we're going to talk a little bit more about the rotogrip line. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you here. This is the rotogrip line over here on the right. I left the Storm balls up here for anybody that wants to kind of take a look at those as well. But over here on the right, I have the rotogrip line with the solids. I have a UFO, a Rubicon, an Idol, a Wild Streak, the Hustle PBR, and the Hustle Inc. The hybrids have a MVP Attitude, the Hustle HSB. So there's only 2 hybrids in the rotogrip line, which is pretty surprising, although that is the weakest line or the least amount of bowling ball line in the Storm line as well. So I guess that kind of makes sense. And hybrids are a little unpredictable. Sometimes you just don't really know what you're going to get out of them. But for the pearls, we have a Nuclear Cell, an Idol Pearl, an MVP Pearl, the Hustle RAP, the Hustle AU, and the Hustle 3TP. And then I have the full list over here on the right, so you can kind of take a look at that as well. When we're trying to build an arsenal, like if we're trying to build a 3-ball arsenal, the one thing we're really trying to look at is making sure we have 3 bowling balls that are different in the scaling spectrum. So I always say if we're doing a 3-ball arsenal, make sure you have something in the 190s, you have something in the 200s, and then you have something, in the 2 teens or higher to fill out your gaps. Kids out in the back playing with the water. That little son of a gun. I'm going to have to run out there here in a minute. Sorry for the pause. But anyway, so we're going to put 3 bowling balls together. And again, you can kind of look at this top line here and think it would work out okay because you've got, the weird thing is you've got some pearls here that have some low numbers. So like that Nuclear Cell and the Idol Pearl, they've got fairly low numbers. And most of that is because of having such strong cores inside of them. So, and then you get to the weaker ones, the weaker pearls, like the MVP has a little bit weaker core. Obviously, all the Hustle lines have weaker cores. And then you have like a Wild Streak that also has a weaker core. So, you start getting those numbers. Well, that's the Wild Streak. Yeah, the Wild Streak would have been 212 before subtracting. So yeah, a little bit weaker core. But we're trying to get these numbers to match each other pretty well. So we obviously, if I have my choice, I'm going to drill a solid, a hybrid, and a pearl, or I'm going to do a solid and 2 pearls, because one of the pearls, I can always take the surface down just a little bit and make it more close to like a hybrid. And again, that's one of those changes you can do. If you want to kind of change some of the stuff that you have right now to make it fit your bag better, then you can take a solid and polish it, and that'll bring it up 3 points. I would say it's a -3 then. If you take a pearl down, I would say just subtract 3 from that as well. So then it would be +3 instead of +6. I might have said that different in the previous video, so make sure you're paying attention here. I just want to add or subtract 3 points. That's all you can really do. So with a solid, I have 3 choices here to get me into that 190 range. Now, all 3 of them are pretty strong bowling balls. If I'm a heavy rolling person, if my tilt is low, I get my hand going forward quite a bit, I'm going to try to probably lean away from the 190s and probably try to grab like something like a Wild Streak as my solid piece. Because it's got just a little bit higher numbers. It's going to help me get the ball down the lane a little bit better, because my ball roll being so forward is going to cause problems with early hook and carry issues. So we're going to, for me personally, I would probably drill, like a Hustle Inc. or a Wild Streak as my solid for my benchmark solid. And then if you want to add a stronger ball just in case you need it, you could add one of those 190s. But then I would probably also add like an MVP attitude, and then as my pearl, I'm probably going to go to like an MVP pearl on that, and then add like an idle pearl. Man, my kid just bounces around when I'm trying to do these things. Or like an idle pearl, which is it's going to roll a little bit earlier for you. The nuclear cell for me was super strong. Makes sense because it has that lower number. But I would, that's probably, that's probably what I would do. I would go with like a Wild Streak, the MVP attitude, and a nuclear cell. Now, I know that Wild Streak technically has a higher number than the nuclear cell and would be considered overall weaker, but they're still going to give you dramatically enough difference in shape. So I think you would be okay there. Or you can just make sure you have something super strong, go with like the UFO or the Rubicon, and then you could drill a nuclear cell and then have, and maybe then drill the MVP Pearl, or one of these hustles down here that are 229. You could do it either way that way. If you're trying to do a 6-ball bag, that's probably your best bet, is always doing 6, because then you could do something in the 190s. Then you could do a Wild Streak with it. You could drill both the MVP attitude and that Hustle HSB. So then you have both of those hybrids, and then you could drill 2 pearls. You could do like a 202, do the nuclear cell with an MVP pearl, or one of the hustles. Boom. Now you have all of the spectrums covered, and I think you would be in pretty good shape there. So I would be really, really paying attention here. Now, if you're going to be mixing and matching, maybe you're going to mix, some Storm with some rotogrip, you can also do that. So then you can take a look at, let me make these numbers a little bit bigger if I can. I got them really, really small right now. Let me get it up to at least 12. Will it take up space? Yeah, so that's going to make it tough to see, but let's see if I can at least get these to move over just a pinch for you so you can see it. There we go. All right, so now we can see at least all these numbers, all these bowling balls on here for our choices. But you can mix and match. So for me, I actually like the rotogrip solid bowling balls better than I do the solid bowling balls from Storm. I think the Storm bowling balls give me a little bit too pukey with their solids. I want to see more of a little bit cleaner ball reaction out of them. So I like the Rubicon. The Rubicon is my solid piece right now, along with some other brand stuff. And then as far as hybrids go, I don't have any of the hybrids from Rotogrip. I have a Parallax, I have a Phase 3, I have an All Road, and I never liked the High Road. For me, I'm probably going to use the Parallax there because it's still a shiny hybrid, and it gives me that smoother ball reaction. And hopefully I can, drill. Maybe I'll drill one of these hustles. I definitely want to drill some hustles. I like those lower or higher number bowling balls technically. So, and then as far as pearls, My favorite out of all the pearls on both this list is probably that trend. The trend is the closest. I did drill the Axiom pearl and used it a little bit yesterday. I do really like it. So you're going to see the review coming on that Axiom pearl coming as well. And then the Astrophysics was another one that I really enjoyed. The IQ Tour Emerald was another one that I'm keeping in my bag as soon as I can get back in the shop, which after this weekend, we're back into the shop. So we're good. But yeah, as far as that goes, I mean, you just really need to kind of pay attention to the numbers and kind of mix and match as best you can. If you have a gap in certain spots, look at this and try to see if you can't fill that gap a little bit, so just try to really pay attention to what you're doing when you're building an arsenal. Try not to have too many bowling balls that are basically around those same numbers. So that way you're not having bowling balls stacked on top of each other. So you're trying to make a move and then you're just basically throwing the exact same ball that only maybe makes an inch difference overall because of just the slight variance in the cover stock, so just kind of pay attention to that stuff. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. What would you do in the comments below? Unless you're on the podcast, of course, it'd be tough to comment. So make sure if you're in the podcast listening to this, you can leave me a message, a voice message. I forgot. I had a brain fart there for a second. I couldn't figure out what I was saying. But you can leave me a voice message to where I can actually listen to it and I can respond to it that way. So if you want to see these charts, if you're on the podcast, make sure to head over to YouTube and you can see the charts that I'm talking about. I shared my screen so people could see it, but you kind of heard me talk about it a little bit too. So, but everybody else on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, and comment below with what you would like to see, what your bag actually is. If you're a Storm fan, what bowling balls do you carry? If you're a rotogrip fan, what bowling balls do you carry in your bag at all times? So I'm out of here, guys. We will see you next time, probably tomorrow, for another episode of the LTC Bowling Show. So take care, guys. We'll see you later.